Lots of people hear false things so often that they eventually begin to think that they're true. Unfortunately, there are a number of things many people think are in the Bible, but aren't. Here's 10 of the most popular examples. Number 1, money is the root of all evil. This is a popular misquotation of 2 Timothy 6:10, which says, "The love of money is a root of all kinds of evils." These are two very different ideas. The Bible never demonizes wealth, and it does include positive examples of believers who were very wealthy, like Abraham in the Hebrew Bible and Lydia of Thyatira in the New Testament, who probably supported the Apostle Paul financially. Number 2, this too shall pass. We hear this phrase repeated quite often. One of the most famous instances was during an interview just after NFL coach Mike Ditka had been fired by the Chicago Bears. This is what he said.
Scripture tells you that all things shall pass. This too shall pass.
Well, the Bible doesn't actually say that. It does sound vaguely like something that Jesus could have said, or something that might have come out of the book of James, but it's not actually biblical. Number 3, be in the world, but not of the world. You'll find similar sentiments expressed by Jesus in several places in the Bible, and the idea behind it makes sense, but you're not going to find that phrase anywhere in Scripture. Number 4, there were 3 wise men who visited baby Jesus. The wise men, or magi, who visit Jesus appear in Matthew chapter 2. Tradition even purports to record the names of each man, but the text doesn't mention how many there are, only that they bring 3 different gifts. Oh, and you're going to need to take the wise men out of your nativity scene because they didn't show up until months after Jesus was born. Number 5, cleanliness is next to godliness. The Mosaic Law does include many things about cleanliness, and there's no doubt that personal hygiene is extremely important. We might imagine that this phrase could have originated as a way of describing how important cleanliness is, because in the Old Testament, it's often associated with holiness. Now, there's a big difference, though, and that is that ritual cleanliness is not the same thing as practicing good hygiene. So if you're looking for that particular phrase anywhere in Scripture, you're not going to find it. Number 6, God works in mysterious ways. So this one is sort of true, and there's a similar statement made in Isaiah chapter 55, verses 8 and 9. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." But this phrase is never found in the Bible, even though God's will does seem mysterious at times. Number 7, Adam and Eve ate an apple. Biblical stories have dominated Western art for centuries. Naturally, depictions of the first humans have been very popular. They're often shown eating an apple, but Genesis 3 only states that Adam and Eve ate fruit from a tree. It's not outside the realm of possibility that they could have eaten an apple, because apple trees came from Central Asia, and there is evidence that they were known very early in Mesopotamia. Although this is possible, it's certainly not probable. Number 8, love the sinner, hate the sin. This is one of those truisms that happens to be pretty popular with folks, but you're not going to find it expressed this way in Scripture. The early church theologian Augustine of Hippo said something to the effect of having love for mankind and hatred of sins, but no biblical author ever did. Number 9, a whale swallowed Jonah. The Bible doesn't say what kind of creature swallowed the prophet, it only identifies it as a great fish. The Hebrew text means essentially a large marine animal, so it could have been a whale. Then again, it could have been something else. We don't know, because the text isn't specific enough to pinpoint anything or rule anything out. Number 10, God helps those who help themselves. This phrase gets repeated so often that some people assume it's biblical, but it doesn't exactly reflect biblical teaching. The exact wording as we know it comes from the 17th century English politician Algernon Sidney. It was picked up by Benjamin Franklin in the 1736 edition of Poor Richard's Almanac, and people have been quoting it ever since. Some of these things may have come as a surprise to you. If so, I'd encourage you to spend a little more time in Scripture. There are a lot of popular sayings and ideas that float around in our culture, and part of our job as Christians is to discern which ones are biblical, which ones aren't.